والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. وقل رب زدني علما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. وليبتلي الله ما في صدوركم وليمحص ما في قلوبكم والله عليم بذات الصدور. إن الذين تولوا منكم يوم التقى الجمعان إنما استزلهم الشيطان ببعض ما كسبوا ولقد عفى الله عنهم إن الله غفور حليم. صدق الله مولانا العظيم. So in completion of these ayats 153 to 155, so quite a lot has been said already concerning the Battle of Uhud and the routing of the Muslims due to a mistake calculation, and the subsequent results that came out of the hearts and came out of the tongues. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning here, وَلِيَبْتَلِيَ اللَّهُ مَا فِي صُدُورِكُمْ وَلِيُمَحِّصَ مَا فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. So that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would actually, ibtila is a test. In a test, what happens in a test, results come out. Somebody passes, somebody fails. So what happens is during a test, what is inside becomes manifest outside. And so this is exactly what happened. وَلِيُمَحِّصَ مَا فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. And also to distinguish what is in the hearts. So, of course, the people of Iman, they ultimately rallied back to Rasulullah salatu wasalam and the nu'as and that sort of succour from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that sakina of that sort of sleepiness overpowered them. And of course, they came back to their original state of determination to obey Allah and His Rasul and sacrifice their lives for the same. And of course, the people of Nifaq, that also became apparent. And Mu'attab ibn Qushayr was probably the most well-known of those in that particular instance, and probably he is the one who mentioned these words, which was mentioned by Sayyidina Zubair ibn Awam radiallahu anh, that he was in Nuwas, but he heard Mu'attab saying this, if we had anything to do with it, we never would have had this musibat, we would have stayed in Medina, and they didn't listen to us, and so forth and so on. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clarified that. So this was all the great lessons that were to be learned here, and of course Sahaba were more purified and they were more strengthened through these tests and trials that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put them through. And of course there are lessons and a guide for all of us in such situations. And further, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ تَوَلَّوْا مِنْكُمْ يَوْمَ الْتَقَى الْجَمْعَانِ. So those who actually turned away, not everybody was routed, but quite a good number of Sahaba, in fact, were, due to the chaos, due to the trauma, due to the disorientation, and also due to the mistake that was made by the archers. So as a result of that, and this was all, of course, Shaitan is always behind every type of disobedience. Either he initiates it or he encourages it, but he's always there in every form of disobedience with his hand in the process. And so the turning away and the routing was also encouraged by Shaitan as a result of previous slips that perhaps have been caused or perhaps had been slipped out from Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum. Probably most apparently would be the slip on the mountain of the 50 archers who left their post. And after leaving their post, and then, of course, with already that blunder in their account, and Shaitan further pushed them on that now you're being routed, and then ultimately the turning and the fleeing. So this was istazallahum shaitan. Shaitan caused them to slip and continued that slip. But of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's ultimate mercy and complete mercy ultimately surrounded the situation, and the situation was brought under control. And ultimately, the real victory, because it's not simply a victory of physical victory of overpowering, but the victory of following the order of Allah and taking the lessons which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants the people of Iman and moving forward, which obviously the Muslims did. And وَلَقَدْ عَفَى اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ, and furthermore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states that He has forgiven even those who turned back and were temporarily in disarray and fled. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has excused them. Otherwise, fleeing is one of the major sins in the face of the battle. However, unless there is a strategic, purpose behind that, if you are, it's a military maneuver to return and attack, but otherwise just to straight out flee from the battle, this is a major sin. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us. So, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us understanding of these lessons and elevate the ranks of the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum. And one last note is that even though in this, like other instances which took place, we will find that the Sahaba did make mistakes. They were human beings after all, but they were the best of human beings after the prophets under the tillage of Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam and his training and his mentorship. And therefore, it is totally inappropriate and totally unacceptable and a major blunder from anyone to blame any of the Sahaba for anything. And if we don't understand their certain actions or events, for example, the wars that took place, and there's a lot to be said about that, Nabi Sallallahu ordered us, and also our ulama have instructed us that we remain silent and we keep a clear heart and pure heart for all the companions of Rasulullah. We love all of them, and as a tradition says, that they are like the stars in the sky. Whomsoever you follow, you will be rightly guided. So may Allah SWT give us the love of Allah and His Rasul and Rasul's companions and all of the pious people, and make us among them on the Day of Judgment. Ameen. Tamameen wa akhir da'wana. Alhamdulillah.